the albinos. I've got 6 of them.
Oh yeah.
And and nothing. I mean, they're growing. I've had those since, I don't know, February maybe. So
Oh,
coming
okay.
up on a year, so they should be mature enough. I was watching a Keeping Fish Simple video last week or so. You did one, Nick.
Yeah.
He did one on raising cories, and he was talking about another one that he learned a lot from. It's about an hour long, and I saved it to watch later. And they're both suggesting if you do water changes like every day for a week, that should trigger them.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, so I figure I'll try that, and if I can be consistent. It's been rough this last week. I just haven't had the energy for it. I just can't wait to get rid of this, whatever it is. Everybody I know seems to have gotten something in the last 2-3 weeks.
It's probably the change of weather.
Yeah, well, it's all over the country, though, I suppose. Yeah, we got family in Fort Knox, Kentucky, and they've got it, and I had family that went to Austin, Texas for a memorial here last week, and everybody got it there and brought it back. And we got it. We did an early Thanksgiving a couple weekends ago, and that's when I got it, I guess. And my Kathy got it, and so it's been fun. She got a nasty cough out of the deal. Mine was all in my head, just sneezing a lot, and yeah.
It's crazy because I guess because of the work that I have.
Yeah.
Even we kind of really stay isolated. We're a crew of 4, really.
Yeah.
There's 5 of us because there's always one guy that's off. And but yeah, I mean they live out there on the river. So the IID developed like a little campsite where they built these homes. So those guys, all those guys live there, and it's pretty cool because the rent's only like $50 or something like that.
Oh wow! Yeah.
I really was hoping to get in on that. And that was gonna be my fish room. But by the time I came on, they were doing away with that. They're kind of everybody that's retiring from there. They're getting rid of those homes. I guess those homes originally belonged to the Bureau of Reclamation.
Yeah.
And but they're not. They're kind of done. Right. They're pretty old.
Yeah.
And but it was kind of a lot of these guys, because we work like 7 days consecutively.
Yeah.
We'll make that like their studio apartment while we're working, and then on their days off they'll come home or whatever. But you have that option.
Oh, very cool.
But I don't live that far anyway, so it's only like a 25-minute drive for me.
Yeah.
And that's only because there isn't a direct shot to the dam. We have to go around a mountain range. That's the only reason why it takes so long.
Yeah.
And but it's a better commute than driving an hour and a half from Yuma to Imperial.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
Which I used to do that drive before. I did it for almost a year and a half.
Hour and a half each way.
An hour and a half. So it's 3 days out of my day. So that's
a jaunt. Yeah.
But the end goal was eventually to end up where I'm at now.
Uh-huh.
And honestly, I was prepared to do that commute for at least 5 years because there wasn't any guys that was going to retire anytime soon. And there's like I said, we're a real small crew out of that office. But circumstances just kind of worked themselves out, and we're only after being a year and a half of having to make that commute.
Oh wow!
I was lucky enough to apply for it and get it.
Oh, cool, good. So it's probably a low traffic, easy commute, but still.
Oh, yeah. The only time I really run into any sort of traffic is during the weekdays when I'm working 6 to 2.
Oh, now, yeah. But I meant when you were doing that hour and a half commute.
Oh yeah, the hour. It was just I would get on Interstate 8 straight shot. It was all interstate. There was no traffic. I mean, there was like Fridays afternoons when you would get the truck traffic that's moving goods and stuff like that, but never where it was bumper to bumper. Never.
Oh, yeah.
Not even the limit. Everybody's doing minimum 5-10 over. So I don't think I ever had to go the speed limit.
Wow.
Well, we got finally people coming in. Let's go ahead and take care of a little bit of housekeeping before we get going.
Sure.
I want to say a couple of thank yous to Jeff Pelham Aquatics. Thank you for being the first one here. Right. Ian, Aquarium Magic, one of the biggest supporters of all of us.
Yeah.
I don't know why Ian he spends a lot of time doing little promo videos for all of us in the community. Thank you very much for everything you do, Ian. And then we have Coral Works, Renee. Thank you for being here, Renee. Phantom Aquatics, Alex, thank you so much for joining us today. Linda, thank you so much for being here. Berto, thank you so much. Tommy, Silver Creek Aquatics. Oh, no, I got to correct it. He changed his name. It's Silver Creek Wildlife now. Thank you for joining us today. Muppet, thank you so much for coming in today. I know, unfortunately, it's the same time that Rico's going, but it was because of my work schedule. This just kind of fell where it was a good time both for Ron and myself to be able to come on. But, you know, hopefully those that are over with Rico get an opportunity to watch the replay. And you know, it is what it is. But again, today I'm being joined by Ron, GarageAquatics2023. Ron, anything you want to say before we get started?
Well, my time, it's still good morning. So good morning, everyone. Yeah. Yeah. And Jorge, thank you for inviting me. This is great. You know, I've never done one of these before. It'll be fun. And welcome everybody. And I know I recognize some names. And yeah, Ian, thank you so much for all you've done. It really topped my subscriber count to my YouTube channel. It's still growing, and my Instagram as well. I really appreciate it. So, and they're both the same name, Instagram and YouTube. So that's I know. So be doing this.
Which one did you start first, Ron? Was it Instagram or was it
Instagram? Yeah. And I went to the local fish shop is Coachella Valley Aquatics over here in Indio. Yeah. And I'm in Palm Desert, California, in the Coachella Valley. And Brandon over there said, you should start doing YouTube shorts. Well, you know, one thing led to another. And so I got a bunch of shorts and a bunch of long videos, and you know, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I've got a lot to learn, you know, as far as editing videos and you know, so yeah.
I think most of us are on that journey trying to figure this out and seeing what works, what doesn't.
Right.
You know, it's just a evolving process.
Yeah.
That we're kind of trying to figure things out. But a quick disclaimer: Ron is one of the few people that I've met through social media, and that I've actually had the opportunity to meet in person, because Ron is not that far away from me. Yeah. I was able to drive out to his home. If you guys were following me on Instagram a while back, I think it was actually here on YouTube. I did a little live stream where I was talking about going out there. I know I was saying I was going to try to film Ron's fish room, but I really hadn't spoken to Ron up until that point to get permission to film it, and it was just kind of felt like I was imposing, and I don't want to do that. And but you know, now that I've gotten to know Ron and we've talked and all that, that's definitely in the works. Next time I'm up in that area, I'll let you know ahead of time, and be able to come in and take a look at it, because you're actually doing some pretty cool stuff out there.
Oh, thanks.
And not only that, I always find it fascinating people that are having the same struggles as I am because of the area that we live in. And for us, it's really temperature. That's the biggest obstacle that we have to overcome. And it's not even so much in the winter. We have the good fortune that we could almost keep tubs out in the winter relatively easy without having any casualties. It does dip maybe into the low 40s once in a while, but it's a very short period. Most days in the winter here will get in the 60s, somewhere in there. So it's not going to be extremely cold. So most stuff can make it. You stick some white clouds out there and they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Goldfish do pretty good. Guppies, they just get a little bit sluggish, but I've managed to keep some guppies. For me, it was more of the problem of getting too hot when it got, because I tried doing like the very first year that I moved here, I tried keeping some platies outdoors, and they were doing fine until we started hitting the 114 consistent summer temperatures. and they just didn't make it. It didn't matter how much oxygenation I was putting in the tub. It was the temperatures. I think the tub got up to like 98, and that was under the shade too. It wasn't even exposed to the sun, and it was too much. So lesson learned. I quit doing that in the summer. I was trying to figure out how far I could go. I thought I could pull it off all summer, but it was a fail. And it really upset me because they were. I didn't have any of the original like coral blues. Those are the ones that are like the white body with they almost look like koi platies because they have the speckling on them, and then they have a blue sheen towards the tail. Those were my favorite platies that I have, and I unfortunately had those outside, and I killed them all.
Oh, geez.
And you know, they just cooked. And so I was kind of disappointed about that, but you know, sometimes you learn from your mistakes. So, and that's kind of what ended up happening there. So now I'll pull them in the garage.
Yeah.
It does get hot in here, and I've had some losses, especially the ones that are not as strong will be the first ones that, you know, won't be able to tolerate it. But I think eventually I don't have a choice but to invest in one of those split air systems.
Mini split.
A mini split for the garage. You know, hopefully someday I have enough subscribers like KG Tropical and have it sponsored by Mr. Cool.
There you go. Yeah. I think it's where we have a mini split here, and it makes all the difference. Right now, I've got it set where it's really automatic, so it'll cool or heat. Okay. And I've got the heater on now, so it's running. So I've only got a couple tanks that I have, you know, heaters in. The rest, the garage is heated. Like it says, Garage Aquatics. They're in the garage. And the mini split makes all the difference. In the summertime, when it's 120, 125, it'll be 140, and you know, in the garage, just the ambient heat just builds and builds and builds, and it's got nowhere to go. So I keep it at 72, 74 with the AC in there, and it really makes it easy to keep the fish without having to deal with each tank separately.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've been asking people that have them what the increase on the light bill has been. But here's the thing, and this is people that are trying to run it like in the mid 70s, low 70s. Yeah. And you know, one of my friends was telling me it's only like $20 increase on his light bill. And I told him, well, shoot, maybe for me it'll even be less because I don't want to keep it in the mid 70s. Want, if I can keep it ambient temperature in here at around 82, 83, that means the aquariums will be around 80, 79, somewhere in there. Yeah. That's perfect temperature for the fish. It might be a little bit warm for human beings, but I could run a fan if I decide to sit in here and do a live stream, and it'll be fine. I mean, it's better than sitting outside in the sun. So
yeah, it really makes a difference. And I don't think, and we have solar, like I was telling you earlier, and that, you know, helps offset the cost. The mini split systems aren't that expensive to install. And I can't help but think if you got a lot of tanks and you got heaters in all the tanks, it's probably cheaper to run a mini split than it is to run all those little heaters. Yeah, because each one all straight 110, and you know, in the States it's, you know, or 120 volt versus you know, low voltage. None of those are, you know, I think they might reduce in the, I don't know, do they? I don't know that much about
well, but just the watt consumption, you know, they're you know, 50 watts is the smallest one. Now you got 20 of those 50 watts.
Yeah. That's up.
You know, that's a lot of wattage that you're consuming. But yeah, I run a little space heater in here. Like I said, our winters are relatively mild. Right. Last year I did a really good job of trying to get rid of a lot of the air gaps that I had in here. I changed out all the seals around the garage door because you can see a bunch of daylight coming in.
Ours is new.
So now I watched the video. I didn't really understand how much of if it was going to be a real task to do that. But when I watched the video on YouTube, it was a real simple do-it-yourself kind of thing. And I said, you know what, I'm going to try it out. And sure enough, I was able to do it. And it wasn't that expensive. So once I did that, I was able to keep a lot of that heat in here and not lose it through the drafts. Right. And then obviously I, you know, replaced the ceiling, on the bottom of the door, the little plastic thing that runs through there, it was all corroded out, and put a new one in, and that's kind of prevented that gap. that draft from coming in, because you can really feel it when you have those little drafts coming in. It's incredible. It could be just a little light coming in through there, but you can feel all that cold coming in.
Yeah, I've got to do our side garage door, and then we've got the 3 vents, those 3 screen vents in the side of the garage. For I guess technically for fumes, right?
Yeah.
And so we are in a really dusty environment where we are here. Overnight the pool can end up with 1/4 of an inch of silt at the bottom, and it'll look like an earth bottom pool. So
I know the struggle.
All kinds of dust in the garage as well. So I bought, I think on Amazon, a couple of, I don't know, they're 12 or 14 inch square, maybe, I can't remember. They're pretty good size square and about 1.25 inches thick of foam that you used to cut up to put in your hang on back filters. And I cut those to fit in the vents, in the garage vents. And that keeps, allows the air to flow, but it keeps all the dust from coming in. And it also cut the draft down too.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool solution.
I think those vents they were probably part for allowing fumes too, but it's also supposed to help vent your garage in the summer so it doesn't contain all that heat. But I don't guess they're not. It's just we're in an area where it's just hot, and it's and the difference is and that's what I try to explain to people. It's consistent heat. It doesn't let up. It's it could be 114 in that during the day, but at night it's still 100 degrees.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's no cooling off period. So it's just consistent heat
for about 4 months straight.
Yeah. So the temperatures will build up.
Yeah. It's fun. That's why we chose to live in the desert. I still haven't figured that out. We used to live about 20 minutes from Disneyland, and we have passes. And here we are 2 hours away now, so it's,
But I'll tell you what, and this is what I was telling my wife. I love this time of the year out here in Yuma, particularly.
Yeah.
Because the weather is perfect. And not only that, I just love being able to look out into the mountains.
Yes.
All around us. It's just the scenery is what makes it, you forget, those few months where it's not 100 and something.
Yeah.
It really makes it where you forget and you go, this place is nice.
Yeah, it really is. And we have the views all the way around us in the valley here.
Yeah. And well, look, you and I are both sitting in t-shirts.
Yes.
I mean, going out right now, it's 65 outside.
Yeah, it's only 60 here.
Yeah, it's 65 outside. You could go out in shorts, and a t-shirt, and you'd be all right.
Yeah.
Hence why we get a lot of snowbirds coming in and staying the winter here, because for them it's like springtime. Our winter is their spring.
Right. We're a seasonal environment as well. We got the snowbirds coming in, and most of our neighborhood is, I don't know, it's probably 60% snowbirds, maybe more. So we're in a little gated, you've been here, you saw it.
Yeah.
But we're in a little gated neighborhood, and I don't know if there's more than 150 homes in it. And I wouldn't be surprised if at least 60% of them are snowbirds or, seasonal people. So I used to live in Lake Tahoe, and there it was seasonal, coming up for the snow in the to ski. So it was a big deal on the weekends. I mean, you couldn't move. The streets were packed. And then in the summertime, people would come up and live up there for, during the summer months, or, it was a mix. But we had a lot of seasonal people there too. So I guess I'm, everywhere I go, there they are.
Well, and one of the things, and I don't know how many of the people watching here are, one of my favorite things is to go to yard sales.
Yeah.
And I noticed that this area, a lot of those areas where you have a lot of temporary visitors,
yes,
you find some really good yard sales.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and I know this is kind of dark, but it's a reality. Some of these people pass away, and they have all this stuff that they keep here.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you come across these estate sales.
Yes.
And there's some really good deals to be had.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of like this time of the year. Well, this time of the year, not so much. It's when spring starts coming around and they're getting ready to leave.
Right.
That you start seeing a lot of these sales, and you'll pick up like tools. I've bought a lot of nice tools for doing stuff around the house.
Sure.
A toolbox that I got for relatively cheap. One of those stackable toolboxes.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so much. I know when my wife was flipping furniture.
Yeah.
That was one of those things, you could go buy a nice piece of furniture, and I'm talking none of this new particle board stuff. I'm talking like real wood.
Right.
Spend like $50. She could turn around, do what she did to it, and sell it for like, 300, 400 bucks.
Yeah.
And
we bought a townhouse for what somebody paid for it 20 years earlier, fully furnished. Because they were, oh God, he was, I think 90 or 91 and she was 88, 89. And they're from St. Paul, Minneapolis area. And it was just across the freeway in Sun City, Palm Desert here. And they weren't coming back. They were done. They're getting too old to travel. So we bought the whole townhouse plus the golf cart for about $200,000. And then we stayed in it for, got off and on, because we were still living in Orange County. And we were working on a fixer upper in Palm Springs. So we've been staying in a hotel every time we came out. So we started staying in that. It was fully furnished. And then we decided it was time, and we went through that. We redid the kitchen and the bathrooms and cleaned, repainted the place and cleaned the carpet in the 2 bedrooms and put it on the market, and did really well from somebody that just wasn't coming back, from one of those snowbirds that just wasn't coming back. So opportunities are everywhere. I love it.
And that's kind of one of the things that are here. It's still a pretty good place for investment, because you could easily buy a property. Right now it got a little bit expensive because with the exodus of California, me being one of those, I am part of that problem. It drove the market up a little bit more. Because if you're coming from California and you're selling whatever you had there, you're going to have a little bit of more of a budget to play with. So, you come out here, we actually upgraded from when we were living in California for a lot less money.
Sure.
So for us, it was just a no-brainer. But
during that time, the world ended. Here in the Coachella Valley, people realize they don't need to live along the coast in San Diego, Orange County, LA County, and San Francisco area. And they all moved to the Coachella Valley, and prices just went through the roof. We bought early before, in fact, just right about the time the lockdown started, we bought this place, and we had been kind of working on it and coming back and forth from Orange County to here. And, but we watched it was insane. Couldn't get contractors. They were so busy. And the ones that were working couldn't get help. So, but this place was insane. But that place we bought, it was a couple of years before that. It was at the end of the season. And so now we're in the season, coming up the end of the season again, that there's probably going to be condos for sale again, that people aren't going to be coming back, or townhouses, or
they're asking for your links to your channels. Let me go see if I can.
Oh, well, they're okay. Yeah. Because they're both Instagram's at GarageAquatics2023, and so is YouTube. In fact, so is my Facebook page.
Yeah, I think on YouTube though, you gotta actually spell it out the way you wrote it on there with the capital letters, or else it won't come up. Because it took me forever to find it. And
let me find here we go.
I think I found it. Let me. Oh, here it is. Perfect.
You got it?
Yep. Let me get the link.
Thank you for doing that.
No problem. I should have done this. And actually, if you guys look at the top, I do have a pin up there. And I'll talk about that a little bit. Let me just get back and drop your link.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, and I didn't realize we turned fish keeping into real estate. So
I know
you need real estate to keep fish. You gotta have some. Wow.
Let me address the pin address I have at the top of the comments. That's for Dr. Anthony. Dr. Anthony, on Tuesday they started doing their fundraising for the Amazon. I always get it wrong. Archive. Amazon Research Center for ornamental fish.
Oh, wow.
This is a research center that's down there in Peru. And what they do is this time of the year, they try to raise funds because they try to give back to the community. And what they're doing is they're focusing on on the children in the community. So what they try to do is they'll try to go out and buy as many gifts as they can to be able to provide a Christmas for all the children within that community that they're staying at. And so I pinned that up there. They're taking donations now at this time. My pledge to donate my check for this month is still there. And I was looking at it, and with the generosity of Jeff, I don't know if Jeff is here, who has been paying for a ton of my memberships. Well, that money that's been contributed to my channel is going to be going to Dr. Anthony, and I'm just waiting for the deposit on that. It's going to be a lot more than I expected too. It took me my very first deposit, which I think was like $150, took me almost 4 months to be able to get it. And this time around, within almost 2 months, I'm going to almost double it. So that's thanks for everybody that's been subscribing and watching the content. That's the biggest thing. If you can just watch the content and watch the ad revenue, because that even picked up. My ad revenue has been picking up slowly. So those are all the things. I don't expect anybody else. Like I've told you guys, I don't want anybody coming out of pocket for this. I think that with the ad revenue, it takes a little bit longer, but eventually it'll get there. If you want to contribute, just share the stuff, just get so that more eyes get out there and see the content. But that's just really it. I mean, there's no need or at least for my aspect, or for people to donate to this directly to me. If you want to donate to the Amazon Research Center, go directly to that link, because if you donate through YouTube, unfortunately, a lot of those funds, they take like 60% of the cut of whatever it is that you donate. So if you were trying to donate $10, at the end of the day, they're only getting $4. So
wow,
so go directly to them, donate at their website. It's pinned. The site is pinned at the top of the comments. If you want to do it. Like I said, I'm still doing, and hopefully my hope is this Saturday, when we have Dr. Anthony on Fish Plants y Más, that I'll be able to. I think it was scheduled for sometime. I know it's supposed to be like towards the end of the month for November that they were supposed to deposit that into the account. So, it's just once that hits, I'm going to go ahead and turn that around and follow through with what I committed to do. So, Fathom's already said too that when he gets his first monetized check, that he's also going to do that. The reason I feel that shouldn't be an issue for most of us is because that is stuff that we're not really counting on. It's like the cherry on top of the sundae. And so, why not? Why not do it for a good cause, especially a cause that it's our hobby. It just keeps our hobby growing. So, but all right, enough of all that nonsense, Ron.
Well, real quick, so to monetize, you need what, 1,000+ subscribers?
I think now it's at 500.
Oh, okay.
I think once you get to 500 now, there's a portion of it that gets unlocked. Like I think you can get like super chats and super stickers when you go live.
Okay.
The ad revenue, I think you still need to have the 1,000 subscribers and the 4,000 watch hours.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And
I'm nowhere near there yet. Working on.
We're going to get you there. We're going to get you there, Ron.
All in good fun, right?
Oh yeah.
That's one of my tags on Instagram. I always end that, all in good fun. Grateful and gratitude and all in good fun. So.
Yeah, but one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on here, Ron, is because when I went out there and we got to talk a little bit, I was really interested in your background.
Yeah.
You were telling me you were a professor at one of the colleges,
but
more than that, it was what you were teaching.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk to you about, the horticultural side of it, and how much of that have you found directly correlates to us keeping plants in the tanks?
So far, just a little. Honestly, I haven't spent enough time doing that, but you saw my farm tank with all the crypts in it. Well, bit of propagation kind of stuff comes from my background. For those of you that don't know, I taught ornamental horticulture for almost 20 years at the community college system in Southern California, 2 different schools. One at El Camino College in Torrance, California, and then at Fullerton College. They often refer to it as JFC, just Fullerton College, because everybody will go, oh, you mean Cal State? No, we're about 2 miles west of it. So, had a nice horticulture program at the time. I don't know if they still do or not. I've lost touch. But yeah, so that was my background, and gardening, and I've always had a love for plants, and that's kind of what got me going back in this. I used to keep fish when I was a kid, and the first tank I ever had was one of those old stainless steel framed 26-gallon show, and I think the brand was Pemco. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, probably. Did it have the slate bottom?
No, I think it was all. I don't remember. It's been so long.
Was it real? I remember I had a 10-gallon, and that sucker was super heavy, but that's because it was a slate bottom.
Yeah. But anyway, when we moved out here, I wanted to get back into fish keeping, and somehow I started watching videos, empty fish tanks, and I fell in love with his planted tanks, and so that one thing led to another, and here we are. But first tank I got was a 16-gallon water box, and I bought a bunch of plants, and I've been getting most of my plants from Amazon. I got a bunch of Sear stone from Coachella Valley Aquatics, and a chunk of wood from, might have been, I don't know, the local PetSmart, because once in a while I'll go there, and just planted the hell out of it. But I haven't spent enough time, and that's what Brandon asked me about too, over at Coachella Valley Aquatics, was to maybe we could start doing some sort of plant blogging or vlogging or whatever. Spend more time, learning and teaching and about aquarium plants.
Well, I know the last video that I saw from you exactly is where you were talking about how the process of planting them into those little plants, and you were pulling them out and transplanting them. Yeah. That stuff is great, because there's a lot of people within the community that want to know more about plants. And
right.
So that I can see that being an area that you could easily fulfill.
Yeah, and that was one way to do it. And I thought, if I ever actually wanted to sell those, I could sell them. They're called 1.9 inch terracotta pots. I bought like 70 of them from Amazon. And then at the bottom of each one, I put just a really small layer of the fluval stratum aqua soil, and then a slight dusting. I ground up a bunch of API root tabs, and just a real slight dusting, just a little pinch on top of the fluval stratum. And then I bought these crypts in the plastic pots, from a vendor on Amazon. He's got really good prices. So I bought 3 different varieties, and I think 3 different pots of each. And I took them apart, and there was a bunch of plants in each pot. So I separated them all out and put 1 plant in each one of those pots and filled it with sand, and then set them all in that tank. And they have gone nuts. And you saw those were Crypt spiralis, big, long leaves, long, slender leaves, and they're kind of spiral, hence the name. I used to teach plant ID, and that was one of the things it was all genus, species. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Let me get rid of some of these screens.
Yeah. That's the water parameters in that tank. And I think it's from the API root tabs, because I finally read the analysis, the fertilizer analysis on those, and there is nitrates and I think ammonia in those things. So you got to be really careful with those. So I've been doing, real regular water changes so as not to lose the fish. Right now, those are those, what were they? Those muck guppies you gave me?
Yeah.
And what were they, wild type mollies?
Yes.
Yeah,
those are I got those out of the Colorado River. Yeah.
So I put the guppies in another tank, couple over, with some orange sunkissed shrimp. But that's the crypts. There's 3 different varieties. The green Wentii, and then the bronze one's right behind it, and then all the way at the back of the tank, which I'm not showing there, are the the spiralis, the long slender leaf. And that's what I pulled out was those. And when I lifted them off the bottom of the tank, I couldn't believe the roots were hanging out of the little drainage holes in the bottom of the pots 4 or 5 inches. So I managed to just get them out of the pot, and they're still wrapped in sand. And I just stuck a couple of them in the back of my 40-gallon breeder because that needed some plants. So I figured, well, I'm growing my own plants, I should do that. So, and these are all ready to go too, as far as, root wise. They're not real big and full yet, but they will be. So anyway, yeah, I got several videos. That's obviously a short, but I've got several videos of, I think the plants themselves. I know YouTube just broke up their screens. Yeah, one of the videos is called Crypto Farming.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah, that was 5 days ago. So yeah, and that's the one I think where I pull the spiralis out. Yeah, and the roots and the length of the. When I bought those, when they came in, the leaves were all of 3 inches long, and they're well over a foot, probably close to 14, 15 inches.
Oh, there's the mollies.
Yeah. And the shrimp that you had thrown in there too, they're in that tank also.
Oh, okay.
They're all just cranking along. There's lots of places to hide amongst the pots. So I think there was a baby molly that showed up. Look how long those leaves are now.
Yep.
So yeah, so that is plants are a passion. They always have been. I mean, I started when I was a kid. It started my mom. Go outside and pull weeds, and instead of getting a big resentment about it, I kind of got hooked. And then the house in Westminster where we lived, it's like 830 square foot house and 6,000 square feet of dirt. So I had a huge vegetable garden for years. I went back to school when I was, I think, 33. I'd been painting houses and for horticulture. And instead of the vegetable garden, I thought, well, it's going to be too much work being a student. So I just planted the whole thing, and it became my plant zoo, essentially. And then after I started teaching, I taught a lot of plant ID classes. So I was growing a lot of the plants that I would use in my plant ID classes. It was fun. So this is kind of new, and I just haven't. There we go. Look at the roots.
Yeah, look at the roots on that. They were even coming out of the bottom of that little planter.
So
how long was that growth? You said
the leaves.
No. I mean, how long had you from the time that you put those in the aquarium to now that you're pulling them out? How much time had elapsed?
I think it's been about 3 months.
Oh, well, that's pretty good for 3 months.
Yeah, they're really well rooted. But I'm guessing. I think it's been about 3 months. I'd have to go back and look. If you want me to.
No. I'm just curious because especially with crips, because I know crips are a little bit slower to to do the transition and get established. I know for mine, it's taking them a long time, but I don't have any of those nutrients. They're just kind of straight into the substrate. Yeah. But it's good to see with a little bit of good potting soil. Good substrate, and a little bit of fertilizer. How quickly they can turn over and adjust.
And you can see the 2 bronze crips in the front there, right? Just back a little bit on the video. There's those 2 bronze crips that have been in that tank. And this is one of the tanks that I had God, what did I do? I think I used an aquarium pond soil.
Okay.
And this is when I was first starting to do this. And this is kind of what I was getting from MD Fish Tanks. I used a layer of aquarium pond soil, and then it's been so long. And then I think over that pond soil, I capped it with, it might have even been like a paver base, which is like a sand and gravel mix, right?
Yes.
And then over that, sand. And then over that, scatter gravel, and the plants, the rooted plants like the crypt there, I just pushed them down and they took off. There's one there, one right behind the other one. All that sand just landed on them from planting the other 2 crypts in the pots. But they really took off. And I've got another one inside the house in that 16-gallon water box that's just gone nuts. Same sort of substrate setup. And the only thing I do really is I use API Leaf Zone and the API CO2 Boost. and I'll put those in when I add water or when I do water changes. I haven't been doing a lot of water changes to this tank.
Do you really think the liquid CO2 stuff? Do you really think that works?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I don't have a clue. But I'll tell you what. Sometimes when I add a lot of it, you can see all the plants pearling. You know, the little bubbles coming off the leaves. So yeah, maybe. You know, and I guess it's kind of like chicken soup. You know, it doesn't hurt. So,
Well, I was asking because I know because of your background whether you thought that those worked or not. Oh, let me turn this down.
I didn't. I got that from MD. God, now I just can't even remember his name. But yeah, MD Fish Tanks.
Yeah, MD Fish Tanks.
Yeah,
Mark.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I like MD Mad Dog. Mad Dog Fish Tanks. No, Mark. Yeah. Yeah, I learned a lot from him. But he's supported, I guess, greatly by API. So
yeah. Well, I think they're
early,
Yeah, that's a paid sponsorship for him.
Yeah. Yeah. And
hey, we're watching Rico.
Oh, cool.
Let me go back. That's Rico's dad.
Oh, cool. All right. No, I'm still
if you don't know him, you should get to know him.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Yeah, somebody in one of my YouTube videos goes, "I thought you were Father Fish." And no.
Not Father Fish.
Yeah.
There's a guy on Instagram, and I think it's TikTok, that he goes, "If you want to do something, just do it." And it's at first when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, this looks like Ron." I don't know what his name is, but he's a like really low mellow guy that'll give you life advice.
Oh yeah,
but it's funny the way he does it. And when I saw him, I was like, "Oh shoot, Ron looks like him."
Great delivery. Yeah. Oh, Father Fish is very opinionated. I tend to, whatever works for you. I mean, here's what I do, and this is working for me. And if you want to do it, yay. And if I can help you with it, absolutely. But I'm not going to shove anything down your throat. You got to do what works for you. So,
I know I've heard the term the Church of Father Fish been thrown around a little bit.
Oh, really? Yeah. Kind of a dogma thing going on here.
It's just kind of, it gets that culty vibe sometimes when you go to the live streams. I'm of the opinion, look, there's more than one way to do this.
Oh yeah.
And if it's working for you, great. But it doesn't mean that it's going to work for everybody. And he kind of tries to say that once in a while, but he's pretty militant when it comes to you have to do it this way.
Right.
And it's like, all right, that's cool. It works, but the beauty of this hobby is you can do it hard. If you don't want to keep substrate, don't keep substrate. Right. It works. There's plenty of people that have been doing. Breeders have been doing it for years without any substrate.
Right.
If you don't want to keep plants, don't keep plants.
Yeah. And in all fairness, I have learned a lot from him as well.
Yeah.
Well, so I pick up
a lot of good information. Ever since I brought the houseplants into the garage, now I got a bunch of little gnats and stuff.
Oh, really?
How do you get rid of them?
I've heard different things. Let me think about that because it's been a while since I've had to deal with them. I know that they're my mother-in-law, what did she do? She had them in a lettuce box out back in her backyard, little fungal gnats, and part of it's from keeping the soil too wet. Excuse me, but she was, there's stuff you can use too, like that's considered organic, like neem oil, or what's the other one? If there's an OMRI on the label, it's Organic Materials Research Institute, then it's considered organic and safe. Yeah. I still don't want to get that in the fish tanks.
Yeah, this stuff is, I guess, from the potting soil in the plants, because I had, I brought them in here. They're in the garage, so everything's enclosed, and all of a sudden they started coming out of everywhere.
Yeah, eggs and larvae. The eggs and larvae are in the soil. And then they hatch out and lay more eggs for more larvae. So,
I even thought about getting a little Venus flytrap to see if it'll chomp down some of these things.
That might work. Maybe, you could build some little section things that kind of sort of float on the top of the tanks, because they're a bog plant.
My last guest, he's got carnivorous plants.
Yeah.
In aquariums where he would build like a riparian area.
Yeah, yeah.
And then put the carnivorous plants there. And I saw that. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. I never thought about doing anything like that.
Yeah. I follow a guy. I've got another Instagram account. It's just my own personal one that, not Garage Aquatics. And I follow a guy there that does carnivorous plants, and he does a lot of the pitcher plants, the big, tall pitcher plants. And those are gorgeous too. And I used to grow those. I worked at a little mom and pop nursery in Santa Ana. And I had to maintain the greenhouse, and we sold carnivorous plants. And I had some just off to the side that I was, maintaining, and they're really spectacular plants. And yeah, you might be able to do it there and, help. I don't know if it'll,
I don't know. I'm just thinking of a way to, something that'll get rid of these gnats. Well, I don't even know if you call them gnats, but it's just these little bugs.
Fungal gnats, or spinosad is the other one. That's the other.
Everywhere. You can see them.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, spinosad and what was the other one? The neem oil work well for this kind of stuff. And you use the spinosad drench, real light. You put it in a spritzer bottle and just spray the top of the soils.
Oh, okay.
On all the plants, and that should take care of them. So, and people use soap or vinegar, and I don't know. Vinegar breaks down, and it ends up fertilizing plants as well. So,
okay.
It's acetic acid, and it'll, as far as I remember, it'll nitrify, and it'll fertilize plants. So it works. So all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, I want to learn more about the aquarium plants. There's some I've got really good handle on that. I've got some floaters, duckweed, because I got some accidentally from somebody. And I will say this, and I don't know who it's going to tick off with. I hate duckweed. I cannot stand this stuff. And it's just, it's got to be, and I think it's a California native. And so it's not on the invasive species list because it's a California native. But I've also got something called Rickia water spangles. Yeah, I use those really, that's interesting, because I use those, I've got, when I have tanks without fish, just shrimp or whatever, mosquitoes will lay their eggs. They'll get in the garage, they'll lay their eggs, and I'll have, I'll see the wigglers, and I'll drop the mosquito dunks. I'll break off little pieces, because one of those things is good for like a 500-gallon pond, one of those little discs. You get them at Home Depot.
That's free food.
Yeah. Well, if there's fish.
No, but you could just take a fish and put them in there.
Well, yeah. So that's what I'm doing. But before I had fish in some of the tanks, or in some of these fish bowls, I just had water, or plants, floating plants. But so that's what I was using, were the dunks. But anyway, I've got these things called Rickia water spangles. They're these little bitty things that just sort of divide. Redroot floaters, Amazon frog bit, and now the last one. It's another little floater, a little. Geez, my brain. The last two brain cells do this a lot of the time. You
gave me all of those, and I think water lettuce, right? Dwarf water lettuce.
Yeah, that's what I was calling the Amazon frog bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but anyway, those. They'll take over the top of a tank in no time flat. So I'll find myself just pulling out wads. And if I can get over to Coachella Valley Aquatics, I will bring him bags full of floaters, and then he just gives them away. So if you're in the area, go and ask Brandon for some floaters. Salvinia, that's the other one. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was it. And same thing. I've got that little tank that it's a 29-gallon. And it's got the grow outs for my albino crebensis. And is that Jeff that I was going to try and send some to him? In the last live stream I saw him on, he said he got some. So I'm glad you got some, Jeff.
You didn't? I thought those were yours.
No. I right after we talked, I'm trying to get everything together to just do it. And then I was on that live stream watching you guys, you and I don't remember who else, but I saw in the chat that he said he had just gotten some. Oh, great. So sorry, Jeff. Next time. So anyway, I got a bunch of those. But the top of that tank, it's got, I don't know, about an inch of Salvini on it. They just keep growing on top of themselves and pushing them down. So I've got to get over to Brandon and bring him 4 or 5 pounds of that stuff. I was thinking about starting to bag it up into small, I don't know, like ounce cups, put it on eBay for, you know, like $6 and $6 shipping or something like that. And that'd be like 50 or 60 plants, enough to totally invade somebody else's aquarium.
Well, that's the thing with floating plants, is because you really can't buy them at a big box store.
No.
So like for me, there's no way I can get floating plants unless I get them from another hobbyist or I order them. So there is definitely a market for, you know, even stuff that you take for granted. Like I have a ton of ram horn snails.
Oh, wow, yeah.
The other day I was watching that, you know, a lot of people sell them online. And I was like, do I really want to get into that?
Yeah. I've got the bladder snail. I would love to get rid of. So I'm floating pieces of zucchini, and they're just collecting on that, because you see the bladder snails crawling on the underside of the water, right? Yep. And they'll just go to that. I'll pull them off, scrape them off, and toss them. I had thought about raising the rabbit snails, those really big rabbit snails.
Oh, yeah.
Yellow or orange or whatever. I just, no, you know, I think that's probably not in my scope, at least not now. You know, I like the cherry shrimp, and, you know, I guess all the neocaradinas are considered cherry shrimp. Some are red cherry.
Well, they're neos, yeah. They're,
so I've got the blue dreams and the orange sunkiss now. But you know, that's as far as invertebrates go. I think that's probably, if I just, and I don't know if you saw in one of my videos, I put copper tape across the top of the aquariums, because the snails, and I learned this gardening. I used to work at this one nursery, and I always lovingly refer to it as the nursery that must not be named. We would ship to Oregon. Yeah, for the Harry Potter fans out there, we would ship to Oregon, and Oregon considers themselves a European brown garden snail free state.
Okay.
So they don't want those things there, and I don't blame them, because I had a serious problem with them at my home in Orange County. And at this nursery, we would ship to them. And so what they would have to do, they would set a block aside, and these, you know, maybe 5,000 1-gallon plants, something like that. And they would spray the entire area with some sort of a molluscicide, something to kill snails that may already be in the spot. Then they would bring all the plants on carts, the flat carts like you see at the nurseries. They would pull them all out of the pots. They'd check all the drain holes and check around the top of the soil, and check the leaves and make sure there were no slugs or snails, put them back in the pots, set them in the area. And then they would spray the whole area with a molluscicide again, and they would wrap the whole area with copper. They'd use like a copper flashing.
Okay.
So when the snails hit that, the mucus layer on the snails, it's like an electrical charge, and it repels them.
Oh.
So I thought, okay, well, I'll give that a shot. And I already had snails in the other tanks, didn't realize it. They crawl up and over, because the snail, or the tanks are butted to each other. You know, the plastic rims, because they're the Aqueon or whatever, the PetSmart or Petco tanks. And they just crawl right up and over into the next tank. And then, you know, if you're not paying attention to, and you move plants from tank to tank, the snails, those bladder snails, when they hatch out, are essentially almost microscopic. And then the little gelatinous packs of eggs, you know, it'd be, I guess, 100 eggs in there, and hard to see if you're not paying attention. I already have eye problems. So, you know, you can move snails around real easy without thinking about it. So, you know, I think they're a real invasive in the aquarium trade. And I know people love snails. And I guess the ram's horn, I know MD always talked how much he likes the ram's horns as part of a cleanup crew. But the bladder snails, I think, are really a nuisance. They don't eat the plants. And I think you said that when you were over that day. They don't eat the plants, but they're just everywhere, you know, and they just, so, and I think, I don't know, personally, I think it just detracts from the tank. So I like the fish, I like the shrimp, I like the plants, but I'm just not a big fan of those snails. So.
Yeah, the one thing that I found that worked for me was I got yo-yo loaches.
Yeah, well, they're going to eat the shrimp, aren't they?
Not necessarily. I mean, I have shrimp and yo-yo loaches in the same tank.
Oh, good to know. Maybe I'll try that then.
But here's the thing: if you're trying to breed shrimp for profit, don't do it.
Yeah, because they'll eat.
If you're just they'll eat the shrimplets. You'll still have some survival, but not like if you're trying to breed for profit, then just do a standalone tank for the shrimp. But the real reason why I keep a lot of the shrimp is because it continues to break down, the waste and any extra food. And a lot of these are culls. They're not from, it's just culls that I put in an aquarium, and they started breeding there.
Right.
And I have some that have color because they're still in their genetics, but it's not a breeder. It's not a shrimp breeder. But I still have a lot of shrimp, and I still have the yo-yo loach in there. And he gets down with I think what happens is he realizes that it takes more work to go after the shrimp.
Yeah.
So he'll kind of leave them alone, and he'll focus on the.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All right.
On the snails, because they're a lot easier to get to.
Yeah. I thought about getting some pea puffers because I know they like the snails too. And Brandon's he had pea puffers. I don't know if he still does or not, but I posted it might have been a little short video. Yeah. It was I've got a 12-inch cube, and it's called Scads of Shrimp. I've got this 12-inch cube I bought from Amazon. It's a cool little tank. And 12 inches, everybody knows 12-inch cube. That's 7.49 gallons, right? Yeah. I did this little was it a video? A little short on one of my first YouTube shorts on how to figure out how many gallons are in a fish tank. Okay. And I'm amazed how many people didn't know that. And if you just use inches and you go the length times the width times the height divided by 231, you'll get the number of gallons. You can do it in cubic feet too. But I heard that loach eats snails better than puffers do. Oh, good to know. Or that loaches, good to know. I'll check
now, here's what I didn't tell you as far as what I have in there. I actually do have the rock piles, the stuff that Lucas Bretz recommends. All of Aquatics. Yeah. If you look at any footage of any of my aquariums, you're gonna notice the one common denominator in all the tanks. I do have rock piles. Okay. And I think that allows for the smaller shrimplets to, if they're going to grow out, to give them somewhere to hide out temporarily until they get to a size where they can come out and probably not be predated on. And I'm sure the yo-yo loach is still eating some of the shrimps, but it's like I said, it's one yo-yo loach. It's a 55-gallon tank, and there's a lot of shrimp in there. So I haven't seen a drastic decrease in numbers, and it's been in there for almost a year now. So. Well, he was going to go.
I've got, in that farm tank where the bladder snails are, I've got 60 of those little pots sitting on the bottom. So there's lots of places, for stuff to hide. I know the shrimp, I don't think they've started multiplying in there yet, but they will. They don't take long. I used to watch, I still do, Irene on, what is it, Girl Talks Fish? Yeah. And she had made a comment once that, that neocaridina's breed like cockroaches.
Yes. I call them water roaches.
Yeah.
Especially the Neos.
Yeah.
Especially the Neos. Well, in my water, because we have really, really hard water.
Yeah, likewise.
So they just love it. I don't have any molt issues. Like I hear some people are always struggling because, they have molt issues. As a matter of fact, knock on wood, I haven't had any shrimp disease.
Likewise,
and any of that stuff.
But we got about a 7.4 pH out of the tap, and then I don't know what the hardness measures, but the only thing I add for the shrimp, and I don't know why, it's like back to chicken soup. That little, what is it? Eabacter. It's like a powder. It's like a bacterial powder. You mix it in water. You pour that in the tank, and it puts a bacterial slime. Well, when you got an established tank, there's enough active bacteria in there that the shrimp are feeding off of all the time. And I threw some frozen brine, and they're big, the frozen brine shrimp. I mean, they're big brine shrimp. I'm still trying to get those to actually grow from baby brine shrimp into big brine shrimp.
I haven't figured that out either.
so I threw some of the frozen brine into that 12-inch cube, and there's probably maybe 70 shrimp in there. And I was watching the shrimp pick up those whole big pieces frozen brine and just munching on that. So they are a cleanup crew. And that's also the tank that I put those least killifish that you gave me in. Okay. They're in that tank. And I think you gave me 4. There are 5. So somebody had a baby. And then there's also 4 glow light tetras in that tank too. And then half a dozen little pygmy cories.
Yeah, the glow lights might predate on the little least killifish fry. They might.
Oh, I mean, okay. From them. Yeah. But I'll tell you what. There's a lot of
if you have enough, floating plants and stuff like that, you'll be okay.
There's enough cover. There's a couple big Java ferns, the Windaloves. There's a couple of those. There's a Nubius in there. There's twigs. There's bigger rocks with nooks and crannies. So, so yeah, they might have. Maybe there were more and I didn't catch those. But I thought you were going to say, I cut you off. I thought you were going to say they might prey on the shrimp fry, and they might. But there's so many little shrimplets, and I see some. It's like on a weekly basis. I'll see some that have just hatched out. That the parent just dropped. So it's.
The shrimp, like I said, they do fine. Yeah, and I have a bunch of stuff you're not supposed to have together in this aquarium where I have the yo-yo loach, I have cherry barbs, I have some green fire tetras, and,
very cool.
A bunch of stuff that's supposed to predate on a lot of these little shrimplets, but because it's my jungle veil grow out. Yeah. And I have a bunch of driftwood because it's also the pleco breeding tank. That's really what it is.
Oh, wow.
And I guess they just have so much to hide that they leave them alone.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
or they're reproducing so much that they're not able to keep up with, with depleting the population. They might keep it in check, but
right.
I mean, and they're so brazen, the shrimps, that they'll swim in front of the fish.
Yeah.
Like, they know nothing's going to happen, but it's interesting. But that tank's been set up forever. What I was going to tell you about the shrimp, the reason why I agree with Keith not needing that factor A. Yeah. I watch them. Like I said, this is the pleco grow up. They'll take the poop, the shrimp, and they'll eat it like spaghetti. So they're taking the waste and processing that and breaking it down even smaller. Right. So when you have enough of a bioload, you don't even have to worry about feeding the shrimp. The shrimp are going to be fine.
Yeah, right. And then I'll notice shrimp poop everywhere. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. Little tiny black pellets. So, and they break down, and I guess that'll feed the plants.
And that feeds the snails. It's a whole cycle. That's one of the things I know Corey has always preached about. Letting it do its own natural thing, and I've tried it when I first came in. Those were kind of the first videos I was watching, and a lot of this stuff I try with suggestions that everybody tells me, and that's why I always say that my fish room is like a little lab. Yes, because I'll take information that I hear and I go, okay, that sounds like common sense. Let me try it, and I'll set up an aquarium and try it out. And then I'll hear father fish that deep substrate. Okay, well, let's give that a try. Yeah. And I have a couple of aquariums that are set up like that. And then recently it was like Dr. Novak using the plenums. And so I have a few that are set up with plenums. And one of the things that I noticed is that they all eventually work. All the systems work. Right. I've had different types of filtration. I've had canisters. I run sponge filters. I run hang on the backs. Obviously undergravel filters, and again, all the filtration systems work. Right. It's just really what it boils down to is what is going to be your application. What are you trying to accomplish? Because if you want to breed fish, your best solution is either going to be undergravel filters or a sponge filter, which is not going to damage whatever it is you're trying to reproduce. Right. Yeah. If you want to have a very manicured and aquascape aquarium, well, probably a canister is going to be the way you want to go because it's the least intrusive. You can't really see what's, you can hide the pipes relatively easily. Yeah. But and if it just doesn't. At the end of the day, your filtration system can just be applied to what you're trying to accomplish. Right. Because it all works. I even have quote unquote filterless aquariums because there is filtration. It's the biological filtration that's occurring in there, but again, but those are not, I don't overstock them. That's the Diane Wallstead method. So
right.
It's all these types of filtrations, all these ways of keeping fish work. They all work. It's just, some of them you got to be a little bit more patient with. Some of them you can just instantly achieve what you want to do. But
sure, and there's always going to be a little tweaking.
Yeah,
because something's not going to work the same for you as it did for whoever you learned it from originally. So
no, well, that is true. You can always adjust it to your needs, and that's kind of what my fish room has become.
Right.
It's just taking all those nuggets of information,
yes,
applying them, and if I see that they're not being successful, I do minor adjustments and tweaks.
Right.
And and you get it to work.
Right.
But that's what's so neat about this hobby is that you can take all of this information and make it your own.
Yeah.
And have success, like what you're doing with the plants in the little potters. I mean,
right.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. When I went back to school, it took me a little bit because I had, I was 33 when I went back to school, and I had learned that, all this stuff, I was doing a lot of general ed and a lot of horticulture focused, and there's a lot of opinion, a lot of theory. And what I learned was the more that I would see the same thing over and over, well, I could probably treat that as gospel, and everything else seemed to be an outlier. So I would just push those aside. And so it's kind of like what you're saying, you see the same thing over and over. That's probably going to work well. It's like, and like I said, I took a lot of aquascaping advice from MD, right? For breeding, some of the best breeding tips I've ever seen, I think, are keeping fish simple. He's got some of the best how-to videos on breeding stuff. If you want to breed Corys, he just let out a new one in the last couple of weeks, and he's got older ones that he puts out. He's constantly doing stuff. And so who else? You were talking about Corey from, I'm assuming, Aquarium Co-op.
Yeah.
A lot of great tutorials there from Dean also. And so those are the ones I picked through. And when I see other people and that's kind of what I do. A lot of the videos I do, it's because I've seen somebody else. I keep them fish simple. How to make your own, really cheap DIY brine shrimp hatchery. And I just redid his and credited him for it. And he saw it from somebody else, and I don't remember if it was Dean or whatever. And credited whoever he saw it from. So it's just, we just keep perpetuating, that, and hopefully perpetuate the education. That's my big thing is education. That's really why I like to do the videos. Some are just, like stare at the tank, stare at the fish for a while, but I really like to do something where maybe I can spark somebody else, so.
I'm gonna plug somebody real quick,
please.
And I have to do this because being a fellow veteran, it's just something that I noticed that doesn't really get pushed, and I think I feel a responsibility as a veteran that there's a lot of businesses within our community who are veteran owned, and Keith KGE Aquatics is one of those people, and cool. I just feel, being that we've kind of been through some stuff together, even though it's been a different branch or part of the service. Sure. I'll have your back. That's just really what it boils down to. And and Keith is one of those people. I know I had the chlorophyll corner with Joe Perez. He's another veteran that's got a business that's within the hobby. And I'm finding out as the more I get involved with the community, the more I find out who are the ones that have served and who are having a business, and I want to give them a little bit of a spotlight because I just feel personally like a little what is it, partialness or towards them because we've kind of been through some of the same experiences. So that's just kind of my plug for today. I know most people here know who Keith is, and not only that. He also has plants. He has, he's got fish, and he's been doing this for a while. So I know it's past November where it's Veterans Appreciation Month, but still, we're still in the holidays. Another one would be Warrior Planet Tanks. who's a really good friend of mine.
Yes.
He's also sells plants and stuff like that. He's another veteran that's in the hobby that has a business. You know, this time of the year, if you guys could just share a little bit of love, if you're already in the process of buying stuff for your fish room, why not, you know, reach out to them,
right,
and give a little bit back. But that's my soapbox for today.
Thank you both for your service.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. And, you know, Veterans Appreciation Month is great, but it's kind of a year-round thing. So,
yeah,
you know
that's
what gives us the opportunity to do this. You know, we're in essentially a safe and free country where we can get away with this.
Well, I got very fortunate that when I got to serve, it was in between after the Gulf War and before the conflicts in Afghanistan. So,
yeah.
My service was relatively smooth, and it was during the heydays of being in the service because it was pretty plush. There was nothing going on, and but I know some of these guys have actually had to see combat. Another veteran that's here is Phantom Aquatics, and I haven't seen him in here, but Aquatic Heaven 89 is another guy, and also he's got a business too where he's selling fish, but I don't know if he currently has a website or not. That's the only thing I need to figure out. But yeah, as I spend more time in this community and I learn about a little bit more of the backgrounds from people, anytime that I find out that somebody's a veteran, they're automatically moving a little bit further up on, you know, my preferential list.
Yeah, that's it should be. That's fair. That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so going back to what you're telling us about what you're doing, are you looking to eventually start selling some of these plants to supplement just your hobby, or are you looking to expand to maybe become like a little side hustle?
Yeah, that's really a good question. At least, you know, at first, probably I'll just be trading stuff with the local fish shop or fish shops. There's another one here called Lighthouse Aquatics, also in Indio. I've only been there once.
Okay.
They've got a big saltwater thing also. And it's pretty to look at, but I have no love and no interest in keeping salt water. I did okay in college chemistry, but yeah, I don't even want to go there. Yeah, that's you know, I've got a Shopify store. And so I was thinking about, you know, I could do that and I could do eBay with some of the plants, but it's still maybe a ways off. It'd be cool to supplement the hobby. It would be really cool to supplement the hobby. I don't know that I'd ever want to make it, you know, a full-time gig. You know, I'm retired from teaching, and you know, I'm one of the older kids on the block, I guess. I just turned 69 in November, so
yeah, I ain't no spring chicken either.
Yeah. So, and I'm grateful for every day. You know, life is so good. So I don't know, maybe, you know, things look like, and you know, and I've got to keep my wife happy. I've got 18 tanks and 5 of them aren't set up yet. I got this 75 gallon on offer up for $40, you know, so I've gotten some good deals on offer up. But if I started you know, she wants to be able to park in the garage. So
yeah, I see you have the same issue I do.
Yeah, and I don't get it, you know, but whatever.
Yeah, there's something about them getting into a hot car in the middle of the summer that doesn't go over very well with them.
Yeah, no, not at all. Easily, you know, now that the garage has the mini split into it, it's really cushy and comfortable for her. And I get that. So, and I've got, you know, there's still, you know, we just moved here. It'll be a year. Wow. It'll be a year on the 15th that we moved into this house. And we've unpacked most everything, but there's still some stuff in the garage we need to get rid of. And that we bought those big steel racks at Home Depot, and so could virtually empty another one of those, getting rid of stuff. So I might be able to move in some more tanks. But, you know, she keeps going, God, if anything happens to you, it's gonna Brandon from that's not Brandon from Coachella Valley, is it? Hello, Brandon?
No. This is B Wizzle.
Okay, cool. She goes, I'm going to call Brandon. He's going to have to come get everything. So either that or call you and you can come get everything. So, but Yeah, because it's like fish and tanks, and but she knows where I am.
Yeah, that's
I
the
mean,
way. It was interesting because I was having a conversation. Well, shit, I shouldn't have done this, but okay, I'm there. I'm gonna go. I was having a conversation with my wife, um, and I was telling her that I was a little bit frustrated and upset because I saw something last night that really bothered me, and I can't believe how much it's bothered me that I'm actually talking about it here. But it's one of those things. I understand, and I don't care what people do with their content or their channel or all
yeah,
that. That's their business. But I do have a problem because I felt that what happened last night directly affects what I'm trying to do, and that really triggered me because they had it. The idea when you bring on guests, there's an assumption there that you're bringing them on for a reason. Either you like what they're doing, or you understand. You have a connection with your guest one way or another, or an appreciation for what they're doing.
right.
Um, my problem is, again, there might be a situation where I've had it happen a couple of times where people that I didn't know uh, come out and say, "Hey, can I be on your show?" Well, there I don't. It's I can understand you not knowing who the person is or having a background on that person,
Right, right,
because they're reaching out to you. And you have them on your show. It's okay not to understand who they are, where they come from, or what their
right.
background is. But to go out of your way to invite somebody onto a show and then blatantly turn around and tell them that you don't know who the hell they are, why did you invite them?
Yeah,
That to me was like a slap in the face. It pissed me off because here's the thing. Yeah, it's on his show. They're doing what they want to do. It's funny, whatever. I get all of that. The problem is, what happens there is that kind of leaves a really bad taste on that guest.
yeah,
That if somebody else tries reaching out to them because they really want to have them on, now there's that hesitation. It's like, well, are they bringing me on because they know who I am, or why are you bringing me on? And
right.
to see that go down last night really, really bothered me. Like nothing's ever really bothered me in this hobby, but I guess because it's kind of intruding into what I'm trying to do, and what
Right.
like having people on and having these conversations, getting to know them. That really chapped me, and I thought I was going to be able to let it go. I wasn't going to talk about it, but it just I
This
was
didn't
really
have to be.
debating.
This didn't
Huh?
have to be personally, did it?
No, 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 no. It was
So we're
on a different channel.
okay. So the lesson is vet everybody, whether you're going to be interviewed or somebody wants you to interview them. Make sure
Well,
they're
and
vetted.
here's the thing, though. Here's the thing: the person that was coming on, we could equate to Aquarium Co-op coming on. Somebody with that much recognition.
Oh wow,
It's
yeah,
not. It's it's not somebody that just started creating content.
right,
It's a recognizable name in the hobby,
right,
and to sit there and think it's funny to tell them that you have no idea who they are,
right,
that to me was like a total sign of disrespect. Why
yeah,
did you invite them then?
right,
Just because the name kind of resonates, but not even taking the time once you have made that commitment to at least go look at some of the stuff that they've done.
right, right.
Well, anyways, that
Yeah.
story was leading to the fact that I was telling my wife, because she saw that I was pretty upset, and she goes, "What the hell's going on? Why are you so grumpy this morning?"
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, "Oh, because something happened last night, and it kind of bothered me." And I kind of went into what I was telling you, and
Yeah.
she goes, "So why does this person have access to a lot of these people?" I said, "Yeah, maybe it's because, look, and don't get me wrong, as a person, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
I have no qualms about him. He's a
Right.
great guy. He has he has no malice in him. I don't think he does. I mean, I think he's genuinely a great person, and I've had other people that I know that have interacted with him that say that he's a genuine person. It's just
not a good interviewer.
You know, I wouldn't even. I don't know. Well, anyways.
Yeah. Oh well.
But anyways, and I was telling him, I guess it's because he's been able to get access to a lot of these people because he goes to a lot of the events.
Oh wow.
And she goes, so my wife goes, well, I think it's time you start going to the events.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. She goes, you need to figure out how to get out to some of these events because I see. She was telling me, she goes, I see how much you enjoy this.
Right.
And she goes, she periodically drops in and watches, and she goes, you really come alive when you get to talk to a lot of these people, even though you don't know. But I genuinely enjoy it. I mean, it's the part of the hobby. Yes, I keep fish. Yes, I do some stuff around here. But the stuff that to me, I guess I'm an extrovert because this is all fun and dandy. But if I don't have anybody to share it with, it's just kind of like not as fun.
Right.
So I come across people like you. I come across people almost everybody that's here on the chat. That I get to interact, and all of a sudden I come alive because I'm talking about the one thing that I'm really passionate about.
Right.
And so she saw that and she goes, you know what? I think it's time now that she goes. At first, I didn't know what you were trying to do or what you were trying to accomplish. She goes, but I see that glow you get when you tell me that you're gonna have an interview or you're gonna have a live stream or that you got invited to a live stream. To me, that social interaction is what this is all about. To me, and that's the one thing that motivates me and keeps me going. It's just the fact that I get to share this side of the hobby because a lot of the times, as hobbyists, we're kind of doing this on our own.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the advent of social media, we'd be the weirdos in the garage hanging out by ourselves.
Well, it's the common ground too that we have. That's what makes this possible. So, but it doesn't matter if somebody's raising guppies and somebody else is raising piranhas. You're still fish keeping, and there's common ground. Yeah.
Well, and what's so cool about that is you might not have the setup or the room or the availability to some of these fish,
right?
But you get to enjoy them through somebody else,
right?
You get to experience what it's like to keep some of these species, because you might not have legally access to them, or you just don't have the space, or like I enjoy just as much watching the people that keep the monster fish.
Oh yeah,
because they look kind of cool, but it's not something I'm going to be able to do. One, it's not really my thing, but that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy watching somebody else do it.
Right.
And and it's vice versa. I'm pretty sure the guys that keep the big fish are kind of going, "Oh, that's kind of cute. He's got little tiny fish that mine could eat for a snack." But,
for sure, yeah.
But it's just a different. That's what I like about the hobby. It's so different. It's a little. Excuse me. There is. It's for anybody, and you can do what. I know people that just keep snails,
right?
And that's cool too. That's their thing. The snails are their thing, and that's cool because the hobby. We all have snails. Want them or not want them.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of us purposely buy them. Some of us, purposely, unintentionally get them. But it's still niche. I know Richard, if he's still here. His biggest thing is doing live cultures. That's how he contributes to the hobby. He has live cultures. That's another aspect of the hobby that a lot of people don't.
When you say live cultures, worms?
like micro worms, grindle worms,
live food,
vinegar. Yeah, live food.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. That's good to know.
Yeah, and it's just I like it. It's just I'm always and I always say this. One of my favorite things to do, because I do work these. Oh, there's Richard.
Yeah, I see him.
And one of these things that I really enjoy is because I work these late nights sometimes, and there's nobody going on live. I'll take these deep dives and just start looking at different channels from different parts of the world.
Right.
And I really love watching like the smaller channels. Last night I came across Bill's Nanos. Is an older gentleman who another fellow vet He served in the Marine Corps for many years.
Hoorah.
And he was talking about, he just recently opened up his YouTube channel. And it was kind of cool because I get to experience the progression of somebody that's coming into the hobby, somebody that's got a lot of experience behind them, but finally turns the page and decides to share that information, kind of like what you and I have done. And but to see that and to be able to see it from the ground coming up. And I think he's got a low count of subscribers because he's relatively new. I think his oldest video is like 4 months old. And it's Bill's
days old now. Yeah. And I just subscribed to him.
Yeah. And it was kind of cool because he's an old head like us. So he doesn't have time for BS.
Yeah.
I love that he's upfront about that. He comes on and he goes, all right, here's what it is. Here's what I'm doing. If you like it, great. If you don't, you can go somewhere else. But I just love that. I love that energy, that genuine. Again, I know Keith had just alluded. One of the reasons why I want to have Michael from Michael's Fish Room is exactly that. It's that genuine person that doesn't care what the rest of the industry is doing, doesn't fall into these trends, could care less what the trendy thing is to do. He's been doing this long enough to know what he likes, how he likes it, and it doesn't matter if people want to use him to review stuff. He's not going to sugarcoat it. If your product is trash, he's going to tell you it's trash. Yeah, if it's good, he's going to tell you it's good.
Yeah.
And I love Michael for that. And I know him and Keith are pretty good friends. As a matter of fact, Keith, the reason I came across you is because Michael would always talk about you. And that's how I found Keith. And but that's the other thing about this community. Even though it's kind of big, it's kind of small in the same way because we all at some point will come across each other through the videos or through events or whatever. So, but it's just kind of been a really, really fun adventure for me. I'm really enjoying this. I get to meet great people like you. Every single guest that I've had on here has been great. Even a couple of the people like Ian, and I think he already said goodnight. Ian was one of those people that reached out to me. I had no idea who Ian, and this is Ian Aquarium Magic.
Yes.
And I said, all right, well, if somebody, and this is when I was just starting too. It wasn't even, I don't even think I had 1,000 subscribers yet. No, I don't even think so. And he kind of reached out and said, hey, I would like to be part of one of your live streams. And I brought him on, and man, it was so cool to get to know him, to see that he keeps a lot of the natural aquariums. Right. And he's doing how they, we got to talk about how they do it over there in Europe. Yeah. Because he's from England. Turns out that he's just a few blocks away from MD fish tanks. That's how small this world is.
Wow.
That's how even though it's a big community, but it's in reality, it's we're all kind of just real close to each other at the end of the day. Because like you might know somebody that I didn't know or that you knew, and it's I don't know. I just have fun. I'm really enjoying all of this. I've been very fortunate that people have liked what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate that people have agreed to be on. And, it's just, hopefully this continues. I don't know. But
maybe you could bring Ian back sometime.
What's that?
Maybe you could bring Ian back sometime.
Yes, I would definitely do that.
Kind of do an update because I didn't see the first one because I haven't been doing this that long.
I know.
So, it'd be cool to I'll go back and fish through your history and see if I can find it there, but it'd be cool to see a fresh one.
Oh yeah. And I loved it because I've been watching his channel grow too.
Yeah.
And but it's just one of those things where I just find it interesting. I like seeing people do different things. Like I said, I'm a chatterbox if you haven't noticed by now.
Ian was doing all those shorts with these channels, and he reaches out to me. He goes, "I put your channel on my short." Oh, wow, cool, thanks.
Well, and here's the thing: he's not expecting or asking for anything in return.
No, I know. And it's just out of the kindness of his heart. And I'm really grateful for it because it helped. And it was just cool to see my stuff that somebody else took a liking to. You know, it's kind of neat.
Yeah. And he's done that for a lot of people. Hey, Fernando. Yeah. And so, but it's just, you know, like I said, this has been a great experience for me. Last night was a little bit of a bitter pill, but you know, I guess, you know, in everything there's something that we could all learn from. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot last night.
Yeah.
I learned that I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to ever have somebody feel that way when they're here.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it is what it is. And again, how you run your stuff that's up to you.
Right.
That's it's your channel.
Yeah.
You know, but
and not let somebody else get under my skin.
Yeah. You know? Well, like I said, the real reason.
Energy, so you know.
And the real reason why it bothered me is because it's somebody that I genuinely wanted to have on here.
Oh.
And after watching what happened last night, I felt like that kind of slipped away.
Maybe not. Maybe you can clean it up.
Maybe, I don't know.
You know, do a good interview with this person,
and I've kind of reached out to him, but he's kind of gone silent. I don't think he wants to deal with anybody anytime right now.
Yeah,
and which I don't blame him. I don't blame him because it was pretty bad. You know what? I tip my hat to him because he was a good sport about the whole thing. Because I don't know if I would have handled that situation as well as he did. I might have just said, "I'll see you then. There's no need for me to be here."
Yeah.
But he's a better man than I am, and I tip my hat to him for handling a totally awkward situation and being a champ about it and making the best of it. So it just kind of speaks volume to his character. So, which kind of makes me even like him that much more. Which, you know, I already like what he was doing.
Very cool. Yeah. Wow.
But, well, Ron, what are some of the, I know that right now it's kind of like if you can supplement your hobby, but with your channel, what would you like to see happen with your channel? What kind of growth would you like to see? Or is it just, you know, documented for the sake of documenting stuff? Or is there an objective that you're trying to reach?
No, I'd love to see it grow. I haven't been doing much the last couple of weeks. Like I told you when we started, I've been fighting this nasty cold for the last couple of weeks. So I haven't had all the energy or the, you know, the brain fog, whatever. But I'd like to see it grow. And you know, my focus really is, you know, I want to keep it sort of educational. You know, come up with ideas that I can share with people to do, you know, to kind of carry the message. Of you know, fish keeping. And I you know, I probably participate in Instagram a little bit more. And one thing I try to do, you know, I go through and, you know, on Garage Aquatics and hit the like button a lot. And when something really catches my eye, I will stop and comment. And I always try and make my comments, you know, like not just courteous or polite, but you know, maybe offer some insight that I might have that somebody else doesn't. One that came up the other day, yesterday maybe, is somebody's betta died. And I see that a lot. And you know, they're talking about, well, it was one of these that lived in a cup in a big box store, you know. And I'd seen another post a while back about people should, you know, and they're doing air quote rescue bettas from the big box stores. Because all it does is encourage the big box stores to keep doing this. And so that's kind of what I reached out to this guy yesterday that, you know, just, I lost my fish and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and another thing, you know, and I do, you know, opine a little bit occasionally on things like this that, you know, bettas are seriously overbred. A lot of them are seriously overbred. So they're just prone to things like tumors and, you know, various cancers and other diseases. So it's, you know, but I always try and keep it, you know, keep it focused, you know, not just, oh, you know, pretty, but, you know, I mean, if somebody's got a nice looking tank, you know, I go off on why I think it's a nice looking tank, you know, and I think people really appreciate that. They appreciate hearing, you know, the compliment, but why there's a compliment, you know, so that's something I try and do, you know. I learned that when I was teaching, you know. So I don't know. So I try and, you know, I'd like to grow my Instagram account's somewhere around, I don't know, like little over 2,000 subscribers or followers, or what do we call them on Instagram? Subscribers on YouTube.
I can't.
Followers.
I'm too old to care.
Yeah. So anyway,
care what they're called.
Yeah.
Not that they subscribe, but it's just, the platform calls it something different. Yeah. And I'm used to subscribers because we do most of my stuff is here on YouTube. So that's what they call them here. So I call everything a subscriber.
Yes. Well, yes. So anyway, I'm sitting at, I think, just over 165 here and a little over 2,000 on Instagram. So they're growing, and I'd like to keep growing. And that's kind of, and I've been doing this Shopify thing for over a year now, probably a year and a half. And one of the things this guy talks about is I do this training with this guy on Facebook. In fact, I was on one this morning before we started here. And BJ Guppy, I watch your videos, and I like them a lot too. Thanks. About using Instagram, and some people start an Instagram account and they just start dumping ads, So I've dumped a few ads on my Garage Aquatics, not a lot, because I don't want to, really, that's not the focus, but it's going to be part of the focus, some of my Shopify stuff that's focused on Garage Aquatics, and same thing, I've got Facebook that I do that with too. So I'm trying to monetize it a little bit at some point. It'd be nice to supplement the income a little bit, Social Security's this much, my teacher's retirement's this much. So anything helps. So, yeah. It's all good. Yeah.
I've always said, as long as I don't have to dip in my pocket to keep the fish from going,
I'll
be good. Yeah. That's kind of like the ultimate goal.
Yeah, that's the big part. If I can, if it helps, buying fish food, keeping the water in the tanks and the lights on, and maybe new fish once in a while. Because I do have kind of that fish addiction where, I want to get me fish.
I think we all do.
Yeah, I like cories a lot. So I've got 6 different species of cories now. And Brandon's seeing if he can find another one for me. Just, slowly grow the cory species. And if I can raise them, I got this tank full of little bronze cories in with a betta spawn that I had. So they play well together. But I'll either trade them or maybe sell them at some point. It depends. It doesn't matter. If I have to trade them or if I can trade them, that's good too.
Yeah, that's kind of my goal.
Yeah,
is to be able to get in a relationship with a fish store.
Yeah,
where I can buy a species, breed it, be able to trade that in for a different species every time, or any species that I want to get, and just have that relationship where, okay, I tried this one, I was able to breed it successfully. Okay, I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's all the byproducts.
Right.
Now let me have a new species that I can try.
Right.
Because at that point it's just kind of self-sustaining. It's not gonna. Some of these species can get pretty pricey, but if you can develop that relationship where you can, you're going to be able to take something from them, be able to breed it, try to breed it. So if you successfully breed it, you're going to be able to return it, and then get something new to play with.
Right.
And that's that's kind of what Dean does, and that's I guess for a lot of us, that's kind of like the ideal situation, right? Where you still get to play with new toys, and it's not really costing you a whole lot of money.
And if you plan on selling them, one thing, watching Keeping Fish Simple, he talks about that. You want to be about a third of retail. They need to be able to mark up 200%. So if they've got an $8 fish, you want to sell them for what, about $2.50 if he talks about going in with a list. These are and make it look professional. These are the list, and put pictures on the list. This is what I have, or have video, on your camera. These are what they look like. Don't go in, no, I don't know. What do you think? If you're actually trying to sell fish.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes from the series that Corey did. Probably. He did it a while back, which it was the whole series on breeding for profit.
Yeah.
And, I don't know why I don't understand why a lot of people consider him very polarized. I've never met the guy. I don't know. But I do know that he has done a lot for the hobby in a way of providing information, useful information, a lot of information that I've been able to take and successfully be able to adapt it to what I'm doing. And but it's funny. It's funny how some people take certain things and they go with it. But it is what it is.
I'm looking at one of the comments. It's important to know that, those people are in business, right? They've got a huge expense in electricity and water. They got to keep the lights on. They've got to feed hundreds and hundreds of fish. They got to set the place up, with dozens and dozens of tanks, in some cases even more. The suppliers, they're not necessarily buying, that much cheaper, but they're in business. And that's something I always try and remember and remind people of, that, these people are in business to make money.
And here's the thing, though. I
understand that.
Yeah, and I've always said it. I don't have a problem. Look, I'm going to be honest. If you have a business and you're not taking advantage of this social media, you're not going to be a very good business person, because this is free advertisement.
Yes.
This, everybody, and if you look down the line, most of the successful channels have been able to either monetize on the fact that they have a big following to be able to convert it into a business. Kudos to them, because that is the smartest thing to do, especially if you have a large subscriber base.
Right.
I'm all for it, especially when you're upfront as to what you're doing. You're not trying to trick me into believing that there isn't an agenda behind this. I don't have a problem with that. You tell me straight up, hey, this is my product. I developed it. I believe in it because of this, and that.
That's right.
I'm an adult. I can decide whether I want to listen to that or not. That's up to me. I don't have no reason why. Yeah, there's no reason why I need to get upset because you're doing that. The choice is mine.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
And the reality is, eventually, if you want to get to that pinnacle of having the 100,000 subscribers, it's going to be very difficult to sustain without having another outlet out there that'll help you keep that. So it's just it's one of those things where if you're not using the tools that are available for you that are free to promote whatever venture you're in, don't complain, don't get upset, because if I was in anybody of those situations, whether it's Keith or whatever, and I had a business, you better believe that I'm going to use this platform to tell you about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and what it is that I'm offering and why I should be the one that you come to, because I can offer you this, and this. I have no qualms with that. I think it's smart business.
Yes,
because it's a business. But
and a lot of people have their own web store attached to their stuff. Or what was his name? Is it SPJ Warrior?
No, Warrior Planet Tanks.
Okay, he's got a web store attached to it. And a lot of people, they run affiliate links. Products they like, they set up an affiliate program with Amazon or whatever, so they make a little money that way. And I think that's fantastic too. I think that's a great way to go. And maybe at some point I'll try and do some of that as well. I don't have my web store attached to any of my, or to my YouTube platform. I do have it attached to Garage Aquatics, link in the bio, and it's linked in the bio. If somebody wants to take the time to go find the link in the bio, well, and that's right out front, because I agree, that's important. No point to try and hide it. And if they don't like what I've got, well, there's Amazon. You can always go to Amazon.com. I shop the hell out of Amazon.com, and I do hit the PetSmart around the corner occasionally. And, I go to Coachella Valley Aquatics. So, I try and spread it around. And it's important, I think, to keep all the merchants in business. I don't care who you are.
Well, because at the end of the day, we all rely on those businesses anyways.
That's right.
Those businesses go away. And what are you going to do?
Yeah. Not everybody carries the same stuff. And not everybody can, carries the same quantities or same brands or, the same variety. There's two PetSmarts. I'm kind of in between them. And one, their selection of fish is almost non-existent on a regular basis. And the other one's got amazingly good selection. I went to a Petco, bought a few fish. None of them survived. So I won't be going back there for fish. But they've got good dry goods, and they've got great prices on their Aqueon tanks. They put out those 50% or whatever. I guess they were 50% off. They send the coupons, you see them on Instagram come through, you know. So I had them deliver a bunch of tanks during the summer. In fact, there was even an extra 10% for them delivering it, which I didn't get, but whatever. So, you know, yeah, it's all fun and games, you know, so, and it keeps me happy.
Yeah.
So eventually, yeah, maybe I'll monetize it a little bit, but more than anything, you know, the stream, or not the streaming, but the videos I like to post, I like to try and do something educational. And sometimes it's just, you know, like a reel or whatever, just staring at the shrimp and how many there are in the tank, because it blows me away. So I want to share that with everybody. So that's kind of where it's at right now. So that's, you know, goals. Yeah, that's kind of what my goals are. Yeah, I'd like to build. Right now, like I said, I think I'm a little over 165 on YouTube and a little over.
Well, hopefully we can get that to grow a little bit more with
every little bit.
People that watch this.
Grateful. Yeah, I'm grateful for all the subscribers, and I get good what am I trying to say? Comments, and I always try and reply. You know, because it's easy right now. You know, I see people like Empty Fish Tank with 1,300 reply or comments. You know, it's like, yeah, okay, I get they're not replying to all of them. But I try to, you know, to get back to everybody with something thoughtful, you know, even if it's just a thanks, you know, but a lot of times, you know, it's a comment that requires me to comment back, you know, and, you know, it's always try to be something thoughtful. I answer questions when I can, you know, and I get a lot of questions. Well, why do you do this? How do you do this? What do you plan on doing with this? So I'll always try and reply with, you know, with an answer if I can. So far, so good, you know.
Yeah.
And it is fun. And if it wasn't, I wouldn't be here. You know, I don't mean
that's true.
Keeping fish at all. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't fun. So yeah.
That's why, you know, for me, like I said, the aspect that I enjoy the most is this interaction. You know, the interaction with other people. Yeah. I don't really. I have no real interest in making this more than a hobby. And what I mean by that is I don't want it to become work.
Yeah.
I don't want it to become work, because then I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it once it becomes work.
Right.
Right now, it's a hobby. It's something I can, if I want to breed stuff, I breed it. If I successfully breed it, well, even better.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to where it becomes where I have to be able to breed these because I need to be able to sell them.
Yes.
Because I don't want that. If this starts becoming something like that, I think that's the minute that I pull the plug on it, because then it's just too much stress.
Right.
I think right now,
I was going to say the better project, that's something I actually tried to do.
Yeah.
The Corys were pure serendipity. It was a pure happy accident. I walked out to the garage one day and I see clusters of eggs on 3 different leaves on an Amazon sword and a bunch of them on the glass, you know, the front glass. So I ran with that, but that was pure happy accident, you know, not trying. The crebensis, I just sort of threw those in a tank, and next thing I know, I got crebensis babies. And Jeff, I'm really sorry I dropped the ball on you on those albino crebensis. I've still got some. I've still got a bunch, all of them, in fact, and they're so much slower growing than the about half of the spawn. There were about 60 babies in there. And about half of them look like species, you know, the little, and while they're small, little checkerboard on the sides, you know, but they're growing up. They look like the regular species crebensis. And then the other half were albinos. Oh. So I'm going to try and keep some albinos behind and see if I can spawn some more intentionally and you know, maybe breed out the species out of those completely if we can. So we'll see, you know. But yeah, hey, not really intentional. Yes, sir.
Give me a minute. I'll be right back.
Oh, sure. So it's just me. So what do you guys want to hear? I used to have a job. I was a teacher. I don't know. I don't ever want to have to go back to work if I can help it. I really like being. I used to joke about before I went back to school. I used to be self-employed because I was really unemployable, and you know, I still would like to do, I like doing what I'm doing now. You know, I'm retired, gainfully unemployed is the way I like to put it. I saw that, Jeff, that you said that one of the last streams that I happened to be on, you were there, that you got some albinos. I'm glad to hear it. I had talked to Jorge about shipping some, and he was walking me through it. and he's got a video on how to box fish to ship. And so I was trying to get everything together, and I sat on that video, and you already had him, so that's taken care of. So I'm just trying to keep the troops happy.
Sorry about that, but
not at all. We're chatting about stuff. So
I made the mistake. I've been drinking water and coffee all the time we've been on, and I made the mistake of getting up to plug in the computer, and my bladder said, "Oh, we can go."
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I better go because it's gonna be pretty embarrassing if I have an accident here on stream. Maybe I'll get more views though.
Yeah, you never know. That's funny. You get that look on your face that the eyes just sort of roll back. So
and I was like, nope. I need to go to the bed. Luckily, it's right as soon as I walk in the garage. But
very cool. Yeah.
The swimming pool. Yeah, that's that 300-gallon. I was waiting on some parts that I needed. Well, not parts. What happens is that one was drilled for it had the bottom drills on the bottom of that aquarium.
Yeah, I saw that.
And for a sump, and I'm not gonna use a sump on it. So found out that what these guys did, they welded the grommets, the bulkheads, not the grommets, the bulkheads. So you can't remove them unless you cut them out.
Wait, it's an acrylic tank though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and are those bulkheads are all threaded?
No, yeah, but the rubber itself.
Yeah.
I don't know why these guys went around and put acrylic glue to it and fused it to the acrylic itself, so you can't remove them.
Okay, but the tail piece is all threaded, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can just Teflon tape and cap them up.
I guess I was trying to make it so that it wouldn't. Well, yeah, I guess
you'd have to have an open top tank where that part will set in.
Yeah.
But that would probably be the easy way to do it. That's a cool looking tank. That's big.
Yeah. The other thing is I'm trying to get rid of because it has like a bar that comes over the top of it.
Right.
That I guess that was like the return that was under the gravel. It was actually designed for it used to be a marine tank, and they had set it up for a under gravel filtration system. But it doesn't run on a sump. It runs on these weird looking kind of canister filters that are like see-through.
Oh, interesting.
And they have these paper. What it reminds me of is like the filters you see inside a shop vac.
Yeah.
That's kind of what but they're two big monsters that sit in the bottom.
Oh, wow.
And so it's a whole, I've never seen a filtration system like that. But
years ago.
Go ahead. Sorry. No, you go ahead.
I was going to say years ago when you said, kind of see-through and like a paper filter inside, we used to have those. They were like a quart mason jar, maybe bigger, and a motor on top, and you'd fill it with diatomaceous earth, right? That white fine powder, and you'd put the top on, and you'd turn it on, fill with water, and you'd shake it around, and all that diatomaceous earth would stick to the outside of this. It's like a cloth or a paper filter. Mm-hmm. And then all the crud would come through into the outside of the jar, stick to that, right? And fresh water would go back into the tank.
So it's like a pool filter.
Yeah, and that's the way we used to clean the tanks way back when.
Well, I think that's exactly the type of setup that it has, because I personally had never seen them. And but I wasn't going to run any of that stuff in there. I might run a canister on that one, but I don't know yet.
Maybe two canisters, one at each end. That's a big tank.
Yeah. Or maybe I just will go filterless.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I don't know yet. But I know I wanted to plug those. And I was waiting for some acrylic and the acrylic glue to come in. But now that you said about capping them, maybe that's the easiest way to go.
Yeah, as long as they don't leak at the bulkhead, the Teflon and even if they're not threaded, then just some PVC cement and maybe do something, I don't know, fill it from the inside too, so stuff doesn't settle in there and get weird. But I don't know. Yeah. So, just a thought.
The other thing I was going to ask you, because one of the things that I want to do with that aquarium is I want to build like a repairing area. Yeah. Since you're the plant guy.
Yeah.
Any suggestions on plants that'll tolerate our heat out here? That when it gets kind of warm in the garage, or most of the houseplants will do fine.
You know, I would think most of the houseplants would do okay. They're all going to be with their roots wet. You know, their feet will be in the water the whole time.
Well, ideally, that's what I like to do. But
yeah,
the idea, I don't care. It's not a spoiler because.
And light, you know, you've got light in there. That's going to be the bigger issue. So I was thinking, you know, one thing people always ask me, well, you know, when I was in the nursery industry, you know, I worked in a nursery in Santa Ana. Hang on, I had an alarm going off there. Dave Brubeck. That asked, so we've got a cabin up in Big Bear, up in Idlewild. What should I grow? I don't have a clue. Go to the nursery in Big Bear or in Idlewild and see what they offer. You know, so I'm thinking, well, where you live, you've got, you know, the Colorado River right there. So see what's growing riparian wise out there. But the challenge is going to be making sure they get enough light.
Yeah, it's cattails.
Yeah. There's got to be other, you know,
there's
right along the water edge.
Carrizo bushes. Let's see what else.
Yeah, but none of that's riparian. The cattail is, but
yeah,
you know, you don't want that growing in your garage.
yeah. No.
Taking heartbeat. So
yeah, it's just mostly like grasses and cattails. I know Bacopa. Bacopa grows. I mean, all along the riverbanks.
Interesting.
It's we have a ton of Bacopa. There's
that's a landscape plant too, Bacopa, or at least there is a Bacopa that's a landscape plant. Yeah,
I don't know which is the Bacopa species. It looks like Carolina, but I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, there's that grows on there, and then just some wild type grasses and stuff like that. But not, like I said, a lot of it is just mostly desert bushes.
Right.
You know?
I got, you know, plants hanging in my aquarium, the philodendron and pothos and anthurium, and there was a nut sedge that was growing in the yard. I pulled that out and shook it off and stuck it in one of the little plant pots that, you know, you get aquarium plants in, and ran a wire through it. It's hanging on the back. But, you know, I've seen, if you go to Etsy and people, it seems like they're charging through the roof for this kind of stuff. Hang on the inside boxes for aquarium plants. You know, you can wrap them in that Dacron, that white, you know, filter floss, or you know, I've seen people build them out of egg crates. The drop ceiling light egg crates. You know, they cut them up into pieces and wire them together or glue them together, and you know, so there's all kinds of that way you could suspend plants. And then I was watching MD Fish Tanks built one for his turtle, but so did a guy named Harlan Ford, a kid in Australia. He built a backdrop with styrofoam and rocks and wood, and then the core, the coconut fiber, and glued all that to it, and then, you know, left pockets in the top for plants. And I feel like DIY, Joey in Canada, I think he did something like that also, you know. So, you know, you can build something like that where the plants are getting watered and they're suspended along the back. It's decorative, you know.
Well, I know.
Suck up nutrients.
I think his name is Jeremy, the aquarium domain. He's building this like 22-foot long aquarium, and the backside is exactly that's what he's doing. He's hanging up a bunch of plants. I'm waiting to see what he does, because I'm going to use that as inspiration for this one.
Yeah.
You know, they say that, what is it? Imitation is the best form of flattery.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna imitate what he's doing, because I'm really looking forward to it. He's gonna have that whole section just because it'll break up the hard edges of the aquarium. That's why I like it.
Right.
One of the reasons why I fell in love with the Chlorophyll Corner, the store up there in Tempe that I went in and filmed, was because they had all these houseplants kind of placed around aquariums.
Yeah.
And to me, it softened all those edges and made it look more like nature.
Yes.
And if I'm going to spend that much time here, well, then I want to be somewhere where I can kind of retreat and enjoy and want to hang out. So that's why I want to do that.
Well, I've got all these cuttings dangling in the aquariums. So I've got big wads of roots of pothos and philodendron, and they just suck up the nitrates, you know, or all the nutrients to, you know, keep the tank really almost crystal clear with very little extra effort, you know. And that's another thing I was watching, Keeping Fish Simple. And he talks about how he's got cuttings in all his tanks in his shop now. And he sells the cuttings, rooted cuttings to people too, So a lot of the house plants, you can get in the local grocery. When you walk in the door, there's a lot of different house plants that they have. Break them apart, wash all the soil away. A lot of times there's 2, 3, 4, 5 cuttings in a pot. So just spread them across the back of your tanks and let those roots go, into the tanks, and they'll help keep the water clean.
Now, how do you determine which plants? If you're looking at a plant, what are the things you're looking for to be able to say, okay, I can take this plant and have the roots grow in water? Does it add with all plants, or is there specific traits?
Yeah, and there might be some trial and error, but here, orchids and endlers, what they were saying, the long vines of the pothos. So when you got pothos or philodendrons in the house, and you got 20 feet of vine going across the living room, and you decide you're going to hack it back, well, instead of throwing it away, cut it into pieces and stick those. Some of it's experimental. I've got a plant that used to grow really well outside in Orange County, and we brought it here with us, and I don't think any survived outside. But I took some pieces and stuck it in the tank, and it is called pink polka dot. It's an outdoor bedding plant. Hypoestes, I think, is the genus. And then, Sansevieria, the snake plant, or mother-in-law's tongue. I snapped a chunk of that off and just stuck it in one of those, and it's rooting at the bottom. Anything you can root in water, should work pretty well. And then once
that's the thing, though. I don't know anything about plants. What I've been learning about plants has not happened until recently. Now that I'm in the hobby, I know peace lilies. Yes. I've been able to do those. Yes. I do have some pothos streamings. I don't know, the aquarium's off, but on top of all these, I got little pothos that I'm growing. But I don't know enough about plants to be able to look at a plant at the store and go, oh yeah, this one's going to work in the aquarium. That's what I was wondering. Is there a way to be able to tell? Or specific types of plants that you can go, the probabilities of it being successful are higher because these plants will convert over to water.
Yeah. In a word, Google.
Oh, okay.
Google, plants for aquariums. No, let me rephrase that. House plants for aquariums. I don't think aloe vera worked, really. Oh, on a foam raft. Okay, interesting. Yeah, any of the aeroids are going to work. Aeroids, let's see. Anthurium is one. Peace lily's another. Calla lily. The calla lilies might. The dwarf ones, because the other ones are just going to get too tall unless you've got some way to support them. So I'm seeing some going through the list. Interesting. But yeah, I would start. In fact, watching a couple of the fish tank or the other fish videos, and I think maybe one was Keeping Fish Simple. He did a video or two on plants, terrestrial plants for the aquarium. So you can get some ideas like that, or just Google, terrestrial plants for aquariums, or you'll mess around until you hit a string of text that it's going to give you some good ideas of Monstera. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, so that's another aeroid.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you how little I know about plants. You guys said aeroids. What are aeroids? Or what kind of genus of plants are those? How do they?
A bunch of different genera that are aeroids. What they have, it's their inflorescence, their flower structure. They've often got some sort of a cup that looks like a leaf on a stalk with a single, like the Monstera, like the big, philodendrons, like the anthuriums. The anthuriums have that big waxy, and they're often, red or pink or white, this big waxy, it looks like a leaf, and with the yellow, what do they call that? God, I used to teach all this stuff. It's just gone. Out of sight, out of mind. I used to tell my students that, you only got to remember it long enough to take the test. And then you can forget all this stuff and you can go find it in a book somewhere. So the spadex, I think, one's the spathe. I think that's this big leaf looking structure. And the spadex is the part with the male and female flowers.
Okay.
Right. So you know what have you ever seen those corpse flowers? Big, giant, they smell like rotting meat,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
You know, we had one at the Fullerton Arboretum, you know, and they got them at the LA Arboretum, and you know, they're probably at Kew in you know, in England, and you know, and they smell like something died because their pollinator is a fly. So often a lot of these have something that attracts a pollinator from, you know, from great distance. So yeah, anyway, so anyway, aeroids are things with that type of flower, that spadix and spathe flower. So there's a little plant.
Yeah, I just recently discovered a plant that freaked me out.
As it should be. There should always be some of those.
You know, it was a plant that was suction to the side of what was it, like a board, I think. It didn't have roots. It reminded the reason it freaked me out, it reminded me of the movie Aliens when that thing would wrap around your head.
Yeah.
I think he had it. Oh no, he had it around a glass vase, but it was on the outside, and it looked like flesh that was wrapped. I was like, what the? I was like, do I want to get close to it or not? I had never seen a plant like that. But then again, I live in the desert, so what do I know?
Ivy does that. You know, on the vine, on the stem, ivy does that. It sends out all those little roots that attach right onto whatever.
I've seen ivy.
Yeah,
I've seen ivy, but this is like a big plant.
And I've got Monstera will do that.
Oh, okay.
The pothos will do that, not quite to that extreme, but I've had pothos actually anchor into the drywall, you know, where it was close to the wall, and it was leaning on the wall. Next thing you know, it's actually rooted into the drywall. So, you know, it's a hoot. There's a lot of great stuff. I used to have people come in, oh, you know, I can't grow plants. I don't have a green thumb. And I would go, poof, you know, now you can grow plants. You have a green thumb. It's a mindset, you know.
Okay.
It really is. It's a mindset. You know, if you want to learn how to do it, it's like keeping fish. If you want to learn how to keep fish, you will. If you want to learn how to grow plants, you will.
I'm trying to see if I can find a picture of this plant because it looks weird. It looks like it's stupid. It is alive, of course. Sure. But that was not very smart. But it looked, like I said, it looks like flesh wrapping around whatever surface it's attached to, and it looks like leather, like a foot.
Interesting.
And,
oh wait, I know what you're talking about.
I've never seen a plant like that. It looks almost like a sci-fi kind of plant.
Try searching and big leaves.
Yes,
try searching staghorn fern.
Let me see.
Because they will wrap around stuff. They will wrap around tree branches, and there's a bunch of different varieties: staghorn ferns, elkhorn ferns.
Oh yes. That's it. Huh? That is it.
There you go.
Yeah, that freaked me out. Let me see. I'm going to have to share.
They are very cool. And you know what they like to? What you feed them? You feed them bananas.
What?
Yeah, because they'll wrap. You know, a lot of times you'll see them attached to a board. Right?
Oh, okay.
When you buy them from the nursery or whatever.
Yeah, this one was like a glass vase on the outside. That's what.
And so I'm trying to point with so from 1, 2, 3, fourth over, or third or fourth over, you know, back up behind it, you know, where it catches water, and it's the older part of the plant. And you just drop, you know, we used to drop banana peels, and if you drop whole bananas, you get fruit flies. So you just drop the banana peels in there, and as they break down, these things don't really have a root system, so they really don't do a lot of nitrogen, but they really benefit from the phosphorus and the potassium. So you throw in banana peels. And I've had people tell me, well, I throw bananas in a blender and pour that in there. Well, that's great too, but you're going to get the fruit flies, you know, so.
Well, the thing that just kind of stood out to me, like I said, it was like this big vase, and it was on the outside, and it was wrapped around. I was like, looked at that. I was like, and this is at a fish swap that I went to, and I had never seen a plant like that. And I was like, is that real? I just kept, you know, I just find it fascinating because there's so much new, you know, stuff that's new to me.
Right.
That the more I dig into it, the more I find out. And some of these plants can be pretty intimidating looking.
When we were, why are we always yelling hello back?
Yeah, that's sad.
When we lived in Orange County, I was about 8 miles up the street from Huntington Beach, you know, from the beach. And we had a really nice environment there. And because of the way the weather was and the climate, the long-term climate, we could grow just about anything there except stuff that needed long-term winter chill, you know, like pears or some apples that didn't work well. But we could grow bananas. In fact, I joked about living in the banana belt, you know, and people would grow dragon fruit and, you know, all kinds of edible fruits. And I used to have this vegetable garden that was about 2,000 square feet year round, right? And so I was always in the yard, always in the garden, and I love playing in the dirt. And now, you know, that we've moved out to the desert, I hardly go outside at all. We've got one of those, you know, like Friar Tuck landscapes that's bald in the middle, it's the grass, and plants around the edges, you know, and a couple trees, and that's it. You know, it's just, I just haven't picked up the gardening, you know, but I do love plants. I really do love plants. We've got the Botanical Garden and Zoo not too far from here, and I'll be damned if I remember what the hell that's called. It's in, I think it's Palm Desert.
The Living Desert, isn't it?
Yeah, the Living Desert. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right off the 74, going over to Idlewild and back over to San Juan Capistrano, ultimately. Yeah, it's gorgeous, and it's a great botanical garden for the desert botanicals. You know, it's a beautiful spot. And you know, it's like I watch stuff, and you got to go out to rivers and stuff and pick up rocks and branches for, you know, driftwood. That doesn't exist right here. I can get all the rocks I want. You know? So I find those, and I found a couple really big logs on the side of the road from the salt cedar that grows along the railroad tracks out here.
Oh yeah.
So, and they were old and been sitting around, and so those are in the two big 40 breeders that I have. And then a lot of twiggy stuff. We've got a bottle tree, a Curzon bottle tree right outside the door here. And so the dead stuff that falls out of it, I save that. And I don't bother to boil wood. I glue it to rocks with super glue to keep it from floating away. And I pick up leaf litter and drop that. I rinse it off, you know, and then drop that, because there's nothing else going on out here. I'm not too worried about, you know, pesticides or anything. And so I drop that in the tanks. You know, as it starts to break down, the shrimps love it. Some of the fish love it too. But it's, you know, I try and, it's hard to find that kind of stuff. We're going to take a run up to Idlewild one of these days, and, you know, there's manzanita growing up there. And so if I can find some, you know, dead pieces off, because it's, from what I understand, it's illegal to chop up manzanita. It's protected. Yeah. So if I can find some, you know, laying on the ground off the side of the side road somewhere, you know, I pick up driftwood up there. I stay away from pine, you know, too resinous, you know, but the you know, things that are harder woods, you know. I don't mind
the leaves that I found that work really, really good for me are the mulberry. And those drop them every winter. Yeah, and in Orange County, they were all over the place. I haven't seen one here. Oh, no? No. We have them out here. We have them maybe I just haven't seen one yet. You know, but they were all over the place in Orange County. So, yeah, they work. You know, and they all release some amount of tannins. Oak leaves release a lot of tannin. And you know, some of the wood releases more tannin than others. I don't have any problems with that. You know, I think they were sold as Indian almond leaves, but they're just a small oak-like leaf, plus the big Indian almond leaves too. And they'll just turn the water almost black water, you know, and then it eventually clears up. But I know, you know, when it starts getting slimy, the shrimps go nuts over that biofilm, you know. So I bought some of that stuff, a lot of it. If I can find it in the landscape. We had trees trimmed here, and I told them, chop off all the dead wood for me. Save that. I'm going to use it in the tanks. They just took it all. It's like, okay, whatever. So, but maybe next time. So. What other stuff was I found that worked pretty good? I know the mulberry leaves. Banana leaves. I don't have. Magnolia leaves. Magnolias. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Banana leaves, and it turns out we have a chiropractor here in Palm Desert. And he lives in Palm Springs, and he grows bananas in Palm Springs. And I had no idea they'd survive out here. And he also grows papaya. I figured it'd be too dry. But I said, you know, can you bring me some banana leaves? And I thought, he brought me a whole bunch. So I let them, they were still green. So I just let them sit in the garage. They're bone dry, crisp now. And I shred off pieces and drop them in the tanks. The shrimp go nuts over those. Oh, yeah. So if you can get those, and I know people sell banana leaves.
leaves, you know, like pieces of banana leaves, like they do with the Indian almond leaves. So as a biological or whatever, a botanical, I'm sorry, as one of the botanicals. So you can buy those online somewhere too. So I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing with botanicals. Why are you buying them online? Because there's so much you can use.
Yeah, just go out your backyard.
Outside your house. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah, I was watching this one woman on Instagram, and I cannot remember her name right now. Her first name's Jessica. And she lives in Kansas City, Kansas, I think. And that's what she was doing. She was just, you know, wandering around picking up leaf litter. And that's kind of what I do in my front yard here. You got to be careful with some of it. There are some leaves that are toxic. So you do want to kind of, not a clue if the banana leaves soak up the KH. I imagine if you overdid it, maybe. I think I've heard that also about the Indian almond leaves. They can affect the KH. And also, I think they can crash your pH if you put too many too often in. So keep that. And guava leaves, also another one. Yeah, I've heard that too. We used to have guava all over the place in Westminster, but I haven't seen any of that out here. They're probably around. I just haven't seen it yet. I don't get out much lately. I've been kind of hanging around in the house, and I haven't driven in God, since the 1st of September. No, the end of September. I had double cataract surgery. And so it took me well over a month to get new glasses. And I've got double vision, so I can't see distance without glasses. So that's what these do. And they're also good for close up. So, you know, I haven't been going anywhere. My wife's been driving, you know, and I just like, okay. So anyway.
Well, Ron, it's getting close for the time for me to head off for work.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I do appreciate very much you being on here. I know we could probably go on for another hour.
Thanks so much for the invite.
Oh, no. Hopefully, you know, we get you to get some subscribers out of this, and you know, people start following what you're doing. And you know, just like I said, thank you. And it was awesome getting to meet you. Thanks for the credences.
Oh, you're welcome.
And
likewise,
we'll stay in touch.
For all the fish you brought. I really appreciate it. And they're doing well. So yeah. And it's nice, you know, all the people on the chat. Thank you all so much for being here.
Exactly. Thank you for the constant support. I know there was a couple of you know, things that they were here. I know Fatnum Aquatics, he became a member today, and he also gifted 20 memberships. So thank you so much for doing that. And you know, it just never stops amazing me, you know, the support that the community is willing to not only give me, but everybody that is here. So, but with that, the next time I go up there, not only do I got to do a tour of your fish room, but we got to go check out the Coachella Valley. What is it? Coachella Valley Aquatics.
Yeah, and then maybe we can go to Lighthouse Aquatics too. Just pop in on them. I haven't been there but once, and it was last January.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's definitely gonna something I'll plan, and I'll hit you up once I get a couple of days back to back. Oh, this time of the year for us, we hardly get any days off because the senior guys will take vacation, so we got to cover for that.
Sure.
But, you know, it is what it is.
And the water's flowing, so you got to keep an eye on it.
Well, yeah. It's, you know, the overtime is always nice.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here with us today. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Hopefully we didn't bore you guys too much, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
All right. Love you all. Take care.